Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. Middle of the week, Wednesday morning, we are coming to you live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Nigel and Surabhi. Guys, hi, good morning.
Hi, morning, folks. Good morning. Of course, there's a market to talk about. There are global cues to talk about, numbers and earnings to talk about. Before anything, I just want to say that our hearts go out to the families, to the people who have been impacted. I mean, 30 lives cut short in a very, very dastardly attack yesterday at Pahalgam in Kashmir. Absolutely unassuming, unsuspecting people out to have their summer vacations there. And then things took a very, very ugly turn. Of course, we must remember that a lot of the heads of state, they've cut their visits short. Prime Minister Modi, who was in Saudi Arabia, he has returned. I think even Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who was heading out to, I think, Peru, she's cut short her visit and she's coming back to take stock of what has been absolutely heinous attack.
Well, that's right. And prayers and support to all our brothers and sisters out there. You know, cowardly act out there. And in fact, we saw the visuals overnight, extremely pained by them.
Absolutely. And I think, Pahalgam, of course, is, the heart of the tourist sort of destination for tourism across India. Very, very popular. I mean, if you've been to Kashmir, yes. South Kashmir essentially, and we can just hope that the survivors find some comfort, some strength. We pray for that. And of course, we'll get you developments out of there through the course of the day. So keep you updated.
And I mean, just as livelihoods and business and just normal, some element of normalcy was coming back to the valley, we have this fresh development to take stock of now.
Absolutely. Okay, as I said, we will keep you up to date with what's happening. And of course, get you updates through the course of the day. All right, well, let's just begin with, of course, the market rundown and read through as well, because there is a lot happening on the markets side as well. So there is a bit of a turn in sentiment. So for the last many sessions, US assets were getting sold. I mean, sell in America, if I can put it like that, was a bit of a thing. So, and why do I say that? You had equity. Typically, if equity is sold off, bonds would do well. But here you had a situation where equities were sold off, treasuries were sold off, dollar was lower as well. So it was unusual, and hence the sell America kind of tag. That turned around a little bit last night. So S&P about 2.5% higher, Nasdaq was up about 2.7%. The 10-year was up 2 basis points, which means bond prices went up. Dollar index was up more meaningfully, about 1.2, 1.3% higher. Oil prices 1.6 up, about $67 on the Brent price. Now remember, Monday US markets had sold off very aggressively, 2.5%. So, and on thin volumes as well. So that looked a little exaggerated. And what we've seen in terms of reversals maybe are just sort of a reversal of that. Unwarranted, exaggerated sell-off, which we saw on Monday in thin volume. So there is that element as well. Have things turned completely? We will find out. But there are important comments coming in this morning, Asia morning, our morning, after US markets shut, with two things. Trump seems to be backing off a little bit on this threat to Powell, Fed's independence, and China tariffs as well. So on Powell, he's essentially said, we'll play those sound bites up in a bit. No intention of firing Fed Chair Powell, one. Two, on China, he said, 145% tariff level is very high. It won't be that high. It will come down dramatically. Substantially is what the word that he used. It won't be zero, but it was zero earlier. I mean, but that's the sort of crux of what he said. Safe haven currencies like the yen, the Swiss franc, they are down sharply after these comments. Gold is down about 1.5% as well. So that's what's happened this morning. Now, just 2 points on India-US, right? That's the other bit. So US Vice President J.D. Vance, the speech yesterday was, I think, has been discussed quite a bit. It was a clear, sharp, strong speech and kind of really highlighted the potential that lies ahead if India and US can work out their differences and work together in a strong partnership. So that was one. And White House, there was a story from Politico, which is widely followed last night. They said that White House is closed on Japan-India trade agreements. It went on to say that it may the agreement may be very thin on details, and a final deal may take many months to hammer out. This is from Politico last night. So, you know, a lot of the trade headlines, and I'm just putting out a sliver of what the amount of headlines we got from last night, but keep this in mind. Take a lot of this with the pinch of salt. For example, with regards to China, in that White House press conference, the White House press secretary essentially said that the trade talks with China are going very well. Treasury Secretary Besant, in the same evening, separately said that substantial talks haven't even begun. So keep all of this in mind, and when you read these trade headlines. Just to sort of tie in the levels and get you the Nifty and Bank Nifty set up. So the Nifty has been up for about six straight has seen 6 straight positive daily closes. There's no sign of weakness per se, but we said this yesterday as well. Technically, across various indicators, things are looking heated, overheated and overbought. So some degree of consolidation correction is possible. We saw, I mean, in our own way, some of that. The Nifty ended with just 15-point gain after being up over 100 points. Support for the Nifty comes in at the 40-hourly exponential, which is moved up to 23,695, which is close by. The upside level, of course, remains the same. It's a 61.8% retracement. The full fall, 24,546. Bank Nifty is the next upside level at 56,631. These are same numbers we put out yesterday as well, extension levels. And support here is the 40-hourly exponential, which, of course, has changed, has moved higher to 53,971. Basically, 54,000 is the support as far as the Bank Nifty goes. Gift Nifty will come up on your screen, gives you a quick sense of how we're likely to start. 200 higher on the implied open. We'll see if it is that strong. Surabhi.
Absolutely. And, you know, that relief rally is really playing out across Asia as well. Because after saying that he cannot be, you know, terminated, his termination cannot come soon enough with respect to Powell, now the US president is saying that he has no intentions of firing the Fed chief. So the market's simply dancing to the Trump headlines every day, every hour. That's the trade. Up and down direction is decided by the US president. And this morning, the direction is up. So we're seeing a relief rally across Asia. Markets are up anywhere between 0.5%. Singapore is up about 0.5%, all the way up to 1.6, 1.7% in markets like Japan. Hong Kong's also doing pretty well, 1.7% up on the Hong Kong Hang Seng, as you can see. Taiwan's also higher. So Australia, all the regional markets are up. Yesterday, Scott Bessent gave the first hint of a possible de-escalation when he said that no one thinks the current status quo is sustainable. This was with respect to that 145% tariff that the US has levied on China. And again, you know, this morning, the US president has come in and very openly kind of said pretty much the same thing, that there will be a deal. It will not go back to zero, but it will not be 145% either. Now, as the relief rally sweeps through asset classes, gold has taken a bit of a backseat. In fact, this morning, prices in Asia is down about 1.1, 1.2%. But this after gold hitting a record high of $3,509 to the ounce yesterday in US trading. That was the high. So gold has touched 3,500. From that level, it, of course, cooled off quite substantially. Okay, now let's talk about our market. 6 straight days of gains, bulls in absolute control, lots of momentum, and the broader market also showing plenty of traction. All of this backed by more FPI flows. Even yesterday, we had a buy figure of about 1,300 crores roughly. Domestic institutions were on the sell side yesterday. They chose the bounce to sell a little bit, about 885 crores of equity selling coming in. This is in the cash market from the domestic institutional side. Lots of stocks in focus, earnings season in full bloom. But before I talk about earnings, IndusInd Bank, we've got a clarification from the bank after market hours yesterday with respect to this discrepancy, so-called, in their MFI portfolio. What is the bank saying? The bank is saying they have not engaged EY for a forensic audit. It's not a forensic audit. It is, however, a review, and EY has been engaged to assist this internal audit committee that IndusInd Bank has to look at potential discrepancies in the MFI portfolio. So it's not an overall wide forensic audit. That's the clarification from IndusInd Bank. On earnings, HCL Tech, there are no surprises here. The guidance range for FY26 is pretty wide. 2 to 5% is what the company is talking about. This is to take into account how discretionary spends move. And they are acknowledging that right now discretionary spends are under pressure. But if they pick up, then the growth could be as much as 5%. The margin, by the way, has fallen a little more than our forecast. So let's talk about the stock in a bit as we go forward. M&M Finance is fine. NII growth is stable. Margins are fine. Profitability is under pressure. Their OPEX has gone up in a big way. So we'll talk about that. And I want to end by talking about the IPO market, because IPO Street seems to be buzzing finally with the market reviving. Very soon we'll be talking about Aether Energy. Today there's a roadshow in Mumbai. And this issue opens out for the anchor investors on Friday. That's this Friday. It opens out for retail next week. And it's going to be a big one in the EV space. With Ola having gone the way it did, will Aether bring something very different to investors? We'll find out. But primary market is buzzing as well. Overall, Q's not too bad this morning, Nigel.
Well, that's right. You want more rational thoughts coming in from the US President Donald Trump, and that's what you got overnight. The comments that he made with trying to fix some deals and also not firing the Fed chair. Well, that's good news, right? So rationality coming in from President Trump is always good news. What about the Troika? You had the US bond yields actually that didn't move too much. They were holding around that 4.36% or thereabouts. It's cooled off a little bit in the last couple of hours, but otherwise it was pretty much in the vicinity of around 4.39%. The dollar index, well, it's bounced off the bombed out levels. It went down all the way to around 98, and from there it bounced up. And Brent crude prices as well, very manageable from an India market perspective, at around $68 per barrel. Very depressed crude oil prices is something even Indian stock market watchers will not want to watch, because if it goes to $50 per barrel, then in fact maybe you're fearing a big global recession. That's about the Troika. How is positioning shaping up? Well, on index futures, you have the clients. They're very mildly net long, only 3,500 contracts on the long side. That's the lowest we've seen in the last 6 months or so. While the FIs, they continue to remain net short. The clients, you don't want them to get into the net short position, actually, because the last time around they were aggressively net short. The markets actually did pull back in the month of September. So that's a factor I'll be looking at. But always shorts in the system is something that I appreciate. We have, the big expiry that plays out in the next couple of trading sessions, and two strikes were fairly active. 24,200 call, 24,000 put. So just looking at the activity that we saw out here, the crucial levels is what I'm tracking. And today, the GIFT 50 is suggesting we're likely to see 150 to 200 point bump up. So I think today's close is going to be very, very important, because as you all mentioned, yesterday we came off the high point of the day. So I'd like to see the Nifty, get past that resistance level of around 24,350 or thereabouts. This is the crucial level. My analysis on the data is that in fact the bears will want to defend this level. So this is going to be an important mark to conquer. And yesterday the Nifty Bank almost went to around the 56,000 odd mark and it came off the top. So both these two, they are the near-term resistance levels. Till these are taken out, you'll say the markets are still in a bit of a range. The next leg will start once we get past these levels. To give you a few stocks and sectors that we're looking at, the globe is a better place. The US markets ended higher. Nasdaq did quite well. The Nifty IT index, the big underperformer. Let's see whether or not it can outperform from today. So that's one. Number two, I'm going to be looking at the result reaction. Vare Energy is one of those stocks that listed with a lot of interest. It saw a big pullback. In the last couple of trading sessions, it's seen a good amount of delivery-based buying, and those numbers look very, very good, and the next year's guidance is even good. So I'll keep an eye out on that one, though it's rallied in the last 1 month or so. And finally, the technical factor. Select stocks, well, they have moved out of the F&O ban, so I'll keep an eye out on them. Some of them come up for you on the screen. Tata Elxsi, Angel One, we have Hindustan Copper in there, as well as Irida. So we'll keep an eye out on all of these names.
Absolutely. Take your point on Bari completely, Nigel, because the numbers looking fantastic. Yeah. Margins, profits, revenue, top line, everything pretty good. So let's see how the stock reacts. But let's kick it off with, of course, the headlines and the sound bites that markets are dancing to. And that is what the US president has to say on Jerome Powell and on China tariffs. On Powell, he is saying that he has no intention of firing the Fed chief. And on China, he's saying that some de-escalation perhaps can be expected.
145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It got up to there. We were talking about fentanyl, where, various elements built it up to 145. No, it won't be anywhere near that high.
And what level do you think it'll come down to if you haven't?
It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. It used to be zero. We were just destroyed. China was taking us for a ride, and just not going to have. It's not going to happen. We're going to be very good to China. Have a great relationship with President Xi, but they would make billions and billions and billions of dollars a year, and they would build their military out of the United States and what they made. So that won't happen. But they're going to do very well, and I think they're going to be happy, and I think we're going to live together very happily and ideally work together. None whatsoever. Never did. the press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier. But no, I have no intention to fire him.
Well, so he's backed off a little bit, but when you think about it with regards to China, what has he said new? 145 tariffs, of course, are unsustainable. It won't be zero.
He's saying he will live happily ever after. Wasn't there some happily ever after kind of a thing?
That's Trump for you. But the point is, when you start at 145, I said this last, I think 2 days back as well, when you start at 145, there are so many ways to declare wins, right? You can declare a win at 100, 80, 70, 40. So, but anyway, markets, of course, are taking note. And importantly, we've been doing pretty well, but the fact is that US assets are starting to turn a little bit as well. That's the thing.